Hey guys, I'm awake. I sound like shit, but I'm awake. So we're sitting here with Salem, just waiting for their just waiting for Academy to start.
Do they have to take quick naps or anything like that, or?
I believe they're ahead in the pod.
Gotcha. All right. Well, that's okay. We still got a few minutes here. Kind of falling asleep, I would say.
Makes sense. We'll give it a couple minutes.
I finished thinking about ordering food. Will be 10-6.
102 is also 3,000. He'll still give it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm gonna think about getting myself some water and then we'll start.
Sounds good.
Are you all able to hear me?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Alright, welcome to day 1 of Police Academy. My name is Major Winters. This is Detective Summers. You can call us by our first names if you want. I'm Rory. This is Damien. I will get to learn your names probably better tomorrow. As we're not doing anything technical today, it's probably... Sorry, we're getting really weird calls right now. It's probably best that we just go over that tomorrow. If you have any questions throughout this, please save them till the end, as they'll probably get answered eventually as we talk anyway. This isn't going to be very exciting. Honestly, it's going to be like an hour and a half of us just talking and reading. But if everybody can go ahead and look at the email that Chief C. when you have it open, just raise your hand. Perfect. Perfect. Awesome. Okay. We're going to scroll down a little bit to the training standards. We're only going to go over the things that are in blue today, as tomorrow will be the red sections. It's pretty straightforward. Cadets are to have zero-side conversations. I can ask you, or Damien can ask you to leave if we think you're being disrespectful, or if you're interfering with class. You have to speak professionally when you're addressing us or the other cadets. Remember that this is a job, and you can't treat us like we're some strangers on the street. You have to be respectful. Rank means a lot to some people. I really don't care if you get my rank wrong. Some people will really care. So try to address people as like corporal or lieutenant, sergeant even. We're going to go over the police procedure. This is going to cover a bunch of different types of situations. Mind you, most of your actual training will be done when you are with your FTO, your field training officer. So I could talk about our procedures till I'm blue in the face, but you really will not get a hand of it until you are actually executing these things yourselves. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Cool. Our number one priority when we arrive on scene, of any scene, whether it's a abandoned vehicle, a shootout, a downed person, is to secure the scene. At all active crime scenes, traffic or emergency scene officers are responsible for security and maintaining the scene. So that means you will be securing a perimeter. You will be making sure that everybody within the perimeter stays safe. That's blocking off traffic. And you will make sure that no civilians get in the perimeter to mess with evidence. If there is a civilian that refuses to leave the scene, you can arrest them. If you say you warn them twice, they still don't leave the crime scene, they will be subject to arrest and detained for tampering with evidence. It is very important that the very first person who arrives on scene, they're known as primary, they delegate all of the tasks that will be taken care of during the call. So you are responsible for the report being written, you're responsible for any mistakes that are made, you are responsible for any accidents that happen. So it's your duty to make sure that you limit those as much as possible by taking control. That doesn't matter if, say you arrive on a scene before I do. I'm the major of LSPD, I'm second in command. I'm taking your orders. Unless I directly say that I, Major Winters, am taking primary, which I will very rarely do, you are the one giving orders. Does that sound like it makes sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It might sound weird, like giving orders to somebody who's of higher rank than you, but it'll make sense when you're in the moment. All right. We'll go over this tomorrow. We'll show you how to use and set up different scene maintaining items such as pylons or officer barriers. We can purchase them downstairs in the store with our receptionist down there. She's wonderful. And you can be reimbursed for all of the items that you purchase from there. They add up quite a bit, so you will want to be reimbursed. Threat assessment. Officers must be observant at all times and know what is around them. So when you arrive on scene, even if you see, say you have a downed officer, and your instinct is to go to them immediately and patch them up, it is our duty to make sure, first and foremost, that the threat is gone. So you want to assess the level of danger around the scene. You have to take in consideration of how everyone's going to feel about their safety. Don't second guess yourself. So if you get on scene and it looks safe but you still feel uneasy, it's your responsibility to take control of the situation and make sure that it is actually clear. If somebody tells you it's clear and you don't trust them, secure the scene yourself. It's not going to be a good day for anybody when you're doing first aid on a downed officer and somebody comes up and puts a bullet in your head. Next, we'll go over radioing for help. When you are talking on the radio, there will be times where you are very stressed. And by stressed, I mean you are getting shot at, you are getting run over, you're drowning, a lot of things, swimming even. You need to be calm and collected over the radio at all times to the best of your ability. I know sometimes you'll yell. It happens. I'm sure we've all been there. If we can't understand what you're saying, then we can't help you. So if you go over the radio and you're like, oh, this is major winners and there's shots everywhere and people are down, that makes no sense to anybody. If you say 102, there's shots fired on my 20, that tells everybody that Major Winners has people opening fire on her direct location, which we can see on our map. Yes, it's very hard to do. Your adrenaline gets pumping, but it is very, very important. The next thing that we go over is the fact that even if you think a civilian is safe while you're on a crime scene, you want to be at a very extensive distance to them. So even if you would think like, oh, from where Corporal Summers is from me, like that's way more than like an arm's distance away, he could easily lunge and punch me across the face or cut me with something. And that goes for a fairly large distance. I would say probably, even this probably isn't very safe. Do you say, Detective?
I mean, yeah, I've seen people take a decent large step over and take a stab at somebody. So it varies. It's one of those things where you have to just be on your guard with, because, you know, you never know very quickly that they can pull something out of their pocket and lunge at you, right?
Los Santos is weird. The physics of this city are weird. Even if you don't think something's possible, it's more than likely possible. And it's better to be safe than sorry. So yeah, you might look a little goofy talking to somebody from like 20 feet away, but that makes you safe, and that's what's important. Do you want to take over aided persons?
Yeah, sure thing. So aided persons, right? Obviously the word aid is to help, assist, or support somebody. One of our main goals on any scene that we're going to is to help anybody that's there to the best of our ability. Like we were saying, if you get to certain scenes, your first goal is to clear it, make sure that the scene is safe, and immediately after you are looking for if there's an injured person or something like that to provide aid to them to the best of your ability at the time. We will all officers are trained in basic first aid, and so our goal is to stabilize them to the best of our ability, pack any wounds, and reach out immediately to the proper services so that way they can get further treatment as needed. This will kind of go into like transport. Most cases, let's say you're dealing with a downed person, you're going to be calling in EMS services to arrive on location and take care of any downed individuals, right? Or just overlook any sort of injuries that have occurred on scene. So you'll be going ahead and radioing them in for help. Most of the time, they'll already be on their way because they get the calls as well through the dispatch. But sometimes, if there's a bit of a glitch in the system or something like that, it's still better for us to always head over to the frequency and check that out. Similarly, I don't believe we currently have the services available in the city, but if we ever get fire services available, it will be a similar situation. If you arrive on scene and there's a situation that calls for fire, you will go ahead and reach out to them and let them know to arrive on scene like that. We'll say for any individual that seems to be emotionally disturbed, any mental disorder not caused by any organic abnormalities in their brain, and in which a major disturbance of emotions is predominant, right? So if you're dealing with somebody that is a bit more mentally disturbed, you should understand that they kind of don't have control over what's happening at the time, right? Or of what they're thinking. They're tough cases to deal with for sure. And I'll say I'm more than surprised with the amount that I've seen since coming to the city. we want to get them proper aid and proper medical assistance. That doesn't mean you can take them lightly either. Similar as we were saying, you need to be cautious because, especially in those cases where they're not in proper control of themselves, you never know what might happen. You definitely want to try to use less than lethal options to the best of your ability. But once again, if it comes down to you need to defend yourself and your life, once again, you just need to be aware and prepared. Do we want to? Are we conducting the first aid lesson here, or?
You can instruct them on like what you would basically do. Say if there was like a.
Yeah. So let's say, for one instance, if you arrive to a person that drowned call, right, and you arrive on scene, they're over at Vespucci Beach, and their friend managed to drag their body out of the water, and they're on the beachfront, right? You get over there. EMS is already en route. You arrive. They're down there. You can secure the scene. You're looking around. You don't see any threats, any other issues. What I would do in this situation is immediately begin performing CPR on the downed individual. Because in cases like that, every minute counts, every second counts. If the EMS services, by whatever means, take a bit longer than necessary, that person could slip away. It's best to perform the best first aid that you can at the scene to ensure that they can be properly treated for it later. So in the case of somebody drowning, I would go up, begin performing CPR, try to get them stabilized, try to get them breathing again, and then hold them on scene until EMS services arrive. Same thing if you're dealing with a gunshot victim. You're going to go ahead, you're going to try to examine their wounds, see where they've been shot, see what happened, see obviously if they're conscious, if they're responding to you. You want to go ahead and then start packing and bandaging their wounds to the best of your ability to slow down the bleeding and make sure that EMS is en route to transport them back to pillbox for proper treatment. It's definitely one of those situations like we were talking about that it can get stressful, especially when you're dealing with very severe injuries. But you need to make sure that you're in proper control of yourself and of the scene to say, okay, check to see if EMS is en route. If not, okay, I need to radio out and get them here. And do the best you can to make sure that the individual that is hurt is taken care of until they can arrive.
All right, we will go over that more in detail tomorrow when we're in our VR session. We can do a lot in that virtual reality where we can't do it here without repercussions. So it's very important for you to remember that we are supposed to do our roles so that EMS can do their roles. We don't want to overstep. We will never revive somebody unless there is absolutely no EMS around or awake at that moment in time. We're here to help EMS, not take their job.
Yeah. And so there's a couple signs to look for whenever you're dealing with a person that is downed. Different various signs of trauma. The main thing to do is kind of, normally kind of head over them, check, examine their full body. You want to be taking a look at their body, like their head, their neck, arms, legs, chest. See, depending on the scene you've arrived on, and see various signs of injury. Hi, Sergeant. No, thank you, Sergeant. He gave me a cookie.
My fucking chopped liver? What?
But there are definitely different things to look out for here. Obviously, as you can see in the document here, if they have any sort of pain or numbness in their neck, shoulders, legs, or arms, any sort of injuries to their head or chest, tenderness or tightness that they're telling you about if they're conscious, any sort of sprains or breaks in their arms or legs or anything like that. If there is a neck injury that is apparent, these are very serious calls. You need to be very careful dealing with this, whether they're unconscious or still conscious and experiencing the pain of it. We do have sea callers for this situation. This is definitely one where you need to, like I said, have utmost care. And if you can get a sea collar on them, that's good, which should be in your vehicle once you have one. We should get that sea collar on and then wait for EMS to arrive for further treatment and handling. Same thing for signs of shock. You'll see bits of paleness, some weakness in their body. They'll start getting a little bit clammy, be very confused, shallow breathing, very weak or rapid pulse, and more than likely they will pass out. The best thing you can do for these cases is try to keep them comfortable and, if they are conscious, calm, and try to calm them down and keep their blood flow moving until EMS can properly arrive on scene. Next thing is CPR. Does anybody here know how to do CPR?
I do.
Okay. Well, let's go through it. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and you're going to open their airway gently by kind of tilting their head back and moving their jaw forward, opening their mouth a bit. If they have a neck injury or something like that, that's another thing you need to be careful for before you start moving their head like that. But once the airway's open, listen and try to see and feel if they are breathing. If they're not breathing, try to check to see if there's something in their throat or mouth that may be obstructing their airway. Pinch their nose and place your mouth over theirs to kind of create a almost like vacuum-like seal over it. You'll then kind of begin blowing air into their mouth until their chest rises, and then you're going to let it fall. I'm getting a phone call. I'm hanging up that phone call. My apologies for that. But yeah, so once you kind of breathe air into their lungs, you're going to kind of repeat that a few bits. There's going to be about 1 second breaths, right? Deep breaths in, deep breaths out. Once that happens, if they're still unresponsive, you're going to begin chest compressions, right? So you're going to place... Major, can you take over? Give me a second.
Yeah, so but essentially we'll go over it tomorrow. It's very important that we remember that we're there to... Typically you will let me show you. All right, this is one of the most important things you will do when you are near somebody who's injured. They will tell you what is wrong with them. You will go with it. Is everything okay? 10-4. Uh-huh. We'll go over injuries more in detail tomorrow.
I feel like I'm talking really quietly. There we go. It is up to you to handle the situation to the best of your ability. That may mean that in certain times, if Pillbox is low on staff or if they have no staff on duty, it will be up to us to transport victims back to the hospital for proper treatment. Thankfully, they have a new 24/7 kind of staff list there at the front desk that can help, which will make this a bit easier. But it may be on us to provide emergency medical transport in the back of our cruisers at the time. This will once again mean that you have to take utmost care in transporting the victims, making sure their wounds are packed, bandaged, everything to make sure that they are not going to pass away in the back of your car to the best of your ability.
On a standard day, there is absolutely 0 situations where you will be transferring an injured person in your cruiser, except for if there are no EMS. That is
yes.
it. You are allowed to transfer somebody who is code green. So say they have cuts and bruises, but they're fine, or they have like a busted lip. Things that aren't life-threatening. Anything more than that, you are to wait until EMS arrives.
Absolutely. I can go ahead and do the active shooter ones as well.
Yes, because for some reason now I'm getting called.
Okay. All right. So next we're going to go ahead and take a look at active shooters and armed subjects. Once again, I apologize for this kind of several disturbances. So taking a look at it, any police officers responding to an active shooter, you're trained in the procedure known as rapid deployment. You will immediately proceed to the area where shots were last heard. Your whole purpose, if you're responding to these, is to stop the shooting. The first officers be a team of 4. This honestly varies. In most cases, as the system currently stands with the PD, you will be, once you hit a solo officer, you will be driving solo. So that means if you are responding to a call, you may be the first unit there and you may be by yourself. It is up to you to determine the state of the scene, as we were talking about before with scene management, to properly address if the shooting is still occurring, if it is still a very active and dangerous situation or not, and proceed with caution that way. Obviously, at all times when you are out on patrol, you will have your normal patrol uniform. You will also need to be wearing your bulletproof vest and any other tactical equipment that you have on you. Certain units that arrive may have more advanced equipment, such as ARs and shotguns. But at the time for being solos, you will just have your standard sidearm and your taser. The first officers, if you arrive and you see people down on the scene, and your first goal is to still clear the scene of anything else. You will pass by any person that is down and injured on the floor because, once again, as the Major said earlier, you are not entirely sure if, while you're treating that person that's down, you're going to get shot in the back. You need to make sure that the scene is code 4 clear before you try to proceed in any other methods. And on that front, you need to be very positive when you make that call that it is a code 4 clear scene before, because if you make that call and then something happens, we will be questioning why you decided to make that call. I want that to be known, because that is something, we put the trust in the officers on scene to make that judgment call. That is why we train you. That is why we send you out there. It's eventually as solos. We need to make sure that you are capable of properly reading the situation and understanding what's going on around you. At any time, your safety obviously is important responding to these shots fired. In most cases, I would recommend, if you arrive to a scene, waiting for at least one additional to come so you have some amount of backup. You need to make sure that you are taking proper firearm control and taking care of yourself and checking all sight lines to the best of your abilities. Once again, these are very serious scenes, not to be taken lightly at all. They're not to be taken as a joke in any sort of manner. Your life is on the line, and the life of anybody else there in the situation is on the line. So that needs to be kept in mind at all times.
I'm feeling a little progressively angrier and angrier that there's so many officers at the PD right now and not on patrol.
If we want to switch on to fire scenes, I can address that.
Sure. Go for it.
Okay. If you want to go deal with that, I'll run through this.
No,
so
actually,
for fire scenes.
this is a great learning experience for all of you. If I can pull out my radio. Major winners to all units. There's an excessive amount of PD at the station. Get 10-8 immediately. You are disturbing Academy.
Yeah, that's another thing. Obviously, we have a code for turning back to the station, 1019. If you're currently at the station, unless you are dealing with something important or you need to take a lunch break or something like that, please do not dawdle. This is a good thing to remember in the future. We have situations like this one where, it's very easy to get caught up speaking to your fellow officers because, your bonds will get pretty close with them. Just kind of keep in mind that we are still responsible for patrolling and making sure that the city stays as safe as possible. And if we are here, we're not out there doing that. All right?
I like having fun as much as anybody else, but I am the major of LSPD and in charge of command patrol. I will tell your ass to get back out on duty if I see you here for an extensive period of time. If you're here, you're not saving other people, and that's your job.
All right. So now I'll move on to fire scenes. Once again, we don't really have a proper fire service currently within the city. However, we still have means to deal with fires if they get... we still have means to deal with fires if the situation pops up. We have back in our armory there, with the receptionist that's down there, we do have a fire extinguishers that are for sale that we can purchase, and that will also be that you can get paid back for later. These are to be kept in your vehicle at all times. The likelihood of fire scenes it doesn't happen as often, I'll be honest. But when it does, it's better to be prepared. When you are confronted with a fire scene, please make the call out over the radio that there is a active fire happening at the location at your 20. If you have your fire extinguisher, you want to take good caution, keep your distance, and try your best to take out the fire. You're going to be aiming at the base of the fire if you see it. If it is just on the floor somewhere, let's say at a gas station, you're going to be trying to aim at the base of the fire to extinguish it from there. If you are coming upon a vehicle that is on fire, it is one of the most common cases, honestly. There's a good amount of vehicle explosions that happen in the city. Once again, we don't have a fire department to deal with the situation, so if you have an extinguisher, same thing, keep your distance, try to spray out the fire, and as soon as you are able to, try to get in and see if there are any injured persons within the vehicle. Similar as before, once that happens, you'll want to make sure EMS is on the route immediately, because they'll need proper treatment to deal with those types of burns. If you're dealing with any sort of structure fire, right? Structure fire is a fire involving the structural components, various types of residential, commercial, industrial buildings. Your main responsibility is security, right? You want to make sure that there's no civilians kind of running into the scene and going out of the scene, and making sure that there's no wild traffic zooming by. So that way, we can have our emergency vehicles stopped up and ready. Once again, in order to handle the scene, that's why we have our extinguishers, but the main thing on any sort of scene like that is scene control, right? Making sure that nobody's just running past and going to dive themselves headfirst into a fire. Once again, it sounds kind of extreme, but given certain other actions I've seen in the city, I would not be surprised if someone were to try that. Do you want to take water rescue?
Yeah, I can take water rescue. Alright, so there are, unfortunately, in Los Santos, is really only one type of water rescue at this time. It is a drowned victim who unfortunately sinks to the very bottom of whatever body of water they're in. We don't float at this time, and we don't really have a means to get somebody who is at the bottom of a very deep basin of water, or at least we didn't until very recently. We are working on certification for both police boat and scuba rescue. So for right now, we have a police motorboat that we take out, and we will take EMS out there so that they can use their magic to pull people from the bottom of bodies of water so that they can do their CPR. Very seldom are we able to dive down and carry them out of the water ourselves. Usually that ends up with us also drowning and causes more of an issue than it does good. So I encourage you to not do that unless it is a very shallow body of water. Unfortunately, our breath is like only about 10 seconds long, and we can't seem to hold it for longer than that, although we try. We do have scuba material. Right now it is being tweaked because it is very unreliable. But as soon as that comes out, we will be also giving out certification for people to be doing that. So effectively, you will be boat and scuba trained. You'll be able to go out and make water rescues and assist the EMS with that aspect of things. They shouldn't really be going out there and diving down for people anyway. Alright, citations. So a citation is basically, it's a fine. It's going to be paid for by the person you are giving it to. It comes directly out of their bank account as soon as you give it to them. We will teach you more about how to do that tomorrow. But we issue these citations based off of road or criminal laws being broken. So say somebody runs a red light. We give them a fine for $500. That's a citation. That makes sense? It's also with like parking in like a red zone. You get a parking ticket for like, I think it's also $500 for parking in a red zone. Pretty self-explanatory. We don't really have public health violations right now. The one we did have was for Burger Shot. It got closed down because it had cockroaches that ate people's legs. I think that got fixed, and I hope it got fixed anyway. Partners and ride-alongs. So on days when we have a lot of coverage, we encourage officers to partner up. You will not get one specific partner, although you might have one that you favor over others. We kind of rotate around so that we can get well acquainted with everybody. As Corporal Summers said earlier, we become really close the longer you work with each other. I hate the notion that we're a family, because I feel like we're a team, which can a lot of times be a lot better than family. We really care about each other. And when you have partners, it's really nice to have somebody backing you up. Not to mention, patrolling alone gets very boring. We do allow people to go where they want, talk to who they want, essentially do what they want while they're on patrol, as long as you're responding to calls. So if you're out getting like food with your friend, as long as you respond to like a bank robbery that comes in or a person down call that comes in, I don't care. Have fun and talk to your people. But the solo patrolling is made a lot easier when you have a buddy with you. Ride-alongs do not really happen. There is absolutely no circumstance where you will ever be able to have a citizen in your vehicle. I don't care if they're a doctor, I don't care if they work for the court. If they're not a cop, they are not allowed in the car. You can transfer them after like a hostage situation, say their car is left across the city. You should not be taking somebody on a ride along with you and responding to calls with you. Because not only is that insanely dangerous, it's we've had instances of people taking civilians out on like active 1050s or 1080s, which is a vehicle chase. I don't really feel like I need to explain to you why that's extremely dangerous. The only ride along you will be able to have is when you are done today. You can go out on a ride along with an officer. You're still a cadet, you're not quite a probie, but you can sit in their car with them and listen to what they're going through. As far as patrol coverage and zones go, we don't really have designated zones in the city, so we will not tell you, hey, you have to patrol this route. I will tell you that you must go where there is least coverage. So if you see, hey, there's like 3 cars over on the west side, but only 1 car over on the east side, head to the east side. Oh, there's 2 cars on the south side, but absolutely no cars north side, go to the north side. I'm not going to say that you have to patrol these 3 streets. You can patrol all of north side. Make a circuit that you like. Go talk to people you know up at Dragon's Rest, or go through the Vinewood Hills. Just try to spread out coverage so that we can respond as fast as possible to any calls that come in. That's our goal. Field training. When I mentioned earlier, you will be paired with an FTO, that is a field training officer. You will go through 3 phases, and these phases will be conducted by a certified officer who will teach you exactly what you need to do. Phase 1 is pretty much you're just a shadow to them. You don't really do anything. They might have you make a report or make a call out here over the radio, but you really don't do much. You ask questions. Phase 2, you will drive the car. They will tell you where to respond. They will really heavily guide you and show you the way. Phase 3, they will not help you unless you or you're about to kill yourself or somebody else. You're pretty much on your own. They're just there to stop you from doing something horrible. At the end of these phases, you will get a panel. It's a test to see if you're ready to go solo. It's not easy, and hopefully your FTOs will get you prepared for it, because we don't want bad cops. We don't want cops that want to take the easy way out, and I'll be straight up with you, we're making the process to become a police officer harder. Unfortunately, or I guess fortunately, people go through the academy and they realize that it's a lot harder to do than they thought it was. It's a lot more of a time commitment, and I don't fault anybody for backing out of that. I do promise that it's worth it, and that's coming from somebody who I wasn't always very responsible or cared very much about doing what was right, but if you stick with it, it becomes easier in the long run. You make a lot of great friendships. You get paid pretty well, and you get to keep people safe. So the evaluation will make sure that you are set up and put into a position where you're not just floating. You're swimming. You're prospering. You're actually succeeding in your position. Radio traffic will go over tomorrow. I'll show you how to set it up. We have a bunch of different 10 codes that Cecil sent you in your emails that we'll go over. 10.2, 10.4, 10.6, 10.7. That all probably sounds like a bunch of robot speak to you, but eventually it'll just be your second language. So much easier to use than plain speak. It's faster and easier to convey over the radio. It takes up less time. Our goal is to be as quick and concise with our radio as possible. We do not want chatter. We do not want excessive joking. One of the things we'll throw out if we find you're talking too much on the radio is 10-3. 10-3 basically means shut the fuck up. Stop talking. I get 10-3. Damien gets 10-3. The sheriff gets 10-3. We all take jokes too far, and then we get 10-3. It's not like a personal jab. It just means you're talking too much over the radio. We need it quiet. On your radio, if when we give it to you, you will notice that there is a bright orange button on the top. That's your panic button. When you look at the radio and you press that little panic button, that sends out a signal to all of the PD that you are in trouble. Something is threatening your life. You will not be permitted to hit this button unless you are in trouble. You don't hit it as a joke. You don't hit it because you want attention. Today we had an officer hit it because he was being kidnapped. Perfect. I hit mine the other day because I was being kidnapped. Perfect. If you're at gunpoint and you can manage to hit it before like your life is in danger, hit it. But if you are hands in the air, there is no reasonable way that you should be able to hit your panic button in this stance. And they have a gun to you, you just can't do it. So please keep in mind of the roles that we play in the city when you are thinking about activating your panic button. When that does happen, you get a swarm of PD on you like you have never seen in your life. Same with the officer down call. If your life is in danger, you will see every single officer who is on duty show up to that location that was last transmitted. And we show up with a lot of force. Today, when Diaz was getting kidnapped, I think I saw, we didn't even have very many officers awake at the time. I think I saw 6 roll up on where he was getting kidnapped.
Yeah,
In
I
less
think
than
we had
30
about 4 or
seconds.
5 show up there, and then even more continued the chase to get the people that ran.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And one thing that's very consistent is in this line of work, your life is valued by your other officers to an extreme extent. Do you want to take civilian interaction?
Sure thing. So, with civilian interaction, you know, it's a thing about being members of the PD is that we are seen as, you know, we're how's the way to word this? We're essentially kind of guardians of the peace, right? We are there to make sure that the citizens of the city are safe and can go about their business and have a good day. That does not mean we ourselves are not citizens. You are still a member of the city. You still will have friends in the city, whether they're mechanics or they work at a restaurant, whatever the means be. So that means obviously you want to go and spend time and hang out and talk with them. That is highly encouraged. We want to make sure that the members of the PD are out there showing their faces and staying on good relations with people of the city, so that way they know that they can rely on us, that they can call on us, that they can trust us if something happens, right? Because that's a relationship we need to maintain. The moment that people of the city feel like they can't trust us because they either A, don't know us, or the only interactions they have are bad interactions, they're not going to call us for 911 calls, right? They'll get kidnapped, and why would they care, right? Or they're going to get attacked, why would they tell us? Their car gets stolen, why would they tell us? We need to make sure that they know us, that they see us as people, that they see us as one of them that's looking to have their back, regardless of the situation. You know, it's, whether it's, you know, even if it's somebody, let's say, like a pretty well-known career criminal, I'd say, in the city, Vincent Ferrari, right? I've had a lot of run-ins with Vincent. He's at times can be considered a very dangerous individual. Even if I go ahead and I'm pulling him over in a traffic stop, I'm not treating him like he is a low-life criminal, right? Because at the end of the day, he's still a citizen. He's still somebody that we are swearing to try to protect. And so it's one of those things where you still, regardless of the situation, need to look at everybody's people. What I will say, like I said, is if you're out on patrol, right, the 10-8, like the Major said earlier, if you're up in the north side and you want to stop at Dragon's Rest to talk to people and get some food, stop and get some food. If a call comes in, obviously you need to respond, but it's still a good sign of, it's still a good show of faith of having the PD out there, showing our faces and reminding people that we're there for them. It's very, very important. I will also say that we still do have an extra responsibility as members of the PD. We're kind of seen as, like I said, guardians of the peace, but we're also seen as guardians of making sure that people are, you know, responding accordingly to interactions. It's very important that we stay in cop mode whenever you're on duty, whenever you're out there and about. You have that responsibility to ensure that things are being handled properly at all times. Obviously, if you're checking through the manual, you probably get a bit more sense of directly what I'm trying to refer to there. but it's very important that we always be vigilant about the state of the city and making sure that it is continuing to be as healthy as it possibly can be. So next, we'll kind of move on to arrest procedures. So, first thing we're going to go over here is probable cause, right? So I'll read this out for you. Sufficient reason based upon known facts to believe a crime has been committed or that certain property is connected with a crime. Probable cause must exist for a law enforcement officer to make an arrest without a warrant, a search without a warrant, or seize property in the belief that the items were evidence of a crime. While some cases are easy, you see somebody brandishing a pistol or dealing drugs in plain sight, you hear gunshots, somebody running from a liquor store that just got robbed, the clerk screaming help. Those are very easy to identify in a lot of cases. There are more difficult ones. It's somebody that just kind of looks guilty or is in a shady area or something like that. That is not necessarily probable cause for you to act. It can be very subjective, and so in a lot of cases it will come down onto you, to verify and to justify your reasoning. If you have probable cause and you go ahead and conduct a search, right, if you find stolen goods or hidden weapon or drugs, that will be essentially proof of what your probable cause was based off of. However, if, let's say and I'll give this a situation for myself yesterday. We responded to a call about suspicious-looking individuals down on the south side near Casa Lazina. We arrived. There are several individuals in masks. It's a pretty well-known drug-dealing location. However, myself as the first officer on scene, I did not see anybody dealing drugs. I did not see any exchange of money or anything like that. However, I went ahead after speaking with somebody on scene. I detained him and I searched him and I found a pistol on him that he shouldn't have had. I then Mirandized him and everything. The issue with that is I had no probable cause to search him in the first place. Yeah, he was in a suspicious location, but that did not give me probable cause. What that would have given me was reasonable suspicion, right? Reasonable suspicion is essentially, it exists when there's information known to the member of the service, would make an ordinarily prudent and cautious officer, under the circumstances, believe criminal activity is at hand, right? So in that circumstance, I see a suspicious individual down there at a location that I am aware of is a popular drug dealing location. I see themselves and two other individuals in masks. The other individuals pull away in a car as I arrive. That would have given me right to stop and frisk the suspect on site, but not to search him. I had no authority there to search him because I didn't have probable cause that he committed a crime. You must, especially in both of these cases, you need to have a very objective basis for suspecting the person. And obviously, if you are seeing it for probable cause, that means you need evidence, right? You need actual show of evidence that something occurred. If reasonable suspicion, like I said, you need a strong basis for why you would say that you had your suspicions. And you must be able to articulate it because it is likely that somebody might try to argue it and they might try to take it to court. And so you need to have reasoning that even your superiors would agree with you on, that you had right to go ahead and stop this person, frisk them down, talk to them, see what was going on. Detainment, right? So detaining somebody is obviously to restrain them and keep them into custody. You must make sure you have probable cause to detain somebody, and you must be able to clearly state the reason for the stop and detainment of somebody. There are illegal detainments. It's obviously when you detain somebody without probable cause, that can also get you into a bit of trouble, and you may be taken to court over it. So try, once again, to be very aware of the differentiation between reasonable suspicion and probable cause. It can be hard on a scene to really make that difference sometimes, especially in more intense situations, but it's still something that we, once again, as guardians of the city, of the peace of the city, of the health of the city, need to be aware of. Next thing is the Miranda rights, right? These are... whenever you'll hear somebody's being Mirandized, that's when they're being arrested, right? It is goes as follows. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided to you. Do you understand your rights as I've read? We usually add an additional line there. Understanding your rights, do you still wish to speak to me? Right? It's a bit of a courtesy to say, like, hey, now that you are aware of the rights that you have, do you still wish to talk to me about what's going on? They can deny or they can keep talking. That's fine. Both are perfectly fine. It it is important to Mirandize a suspect because, as you'll see in your case law when you're going over your phases, the case reference that the Miranda rights came from involved somebody that was arrested not clear of their rights at the time, right? They were not aware that they could get an attorney. They were not aware that they could not talk. And because of that, there were a lot of issues with their case. Search and seizures, right? It's the legal term to use to describe a law enforcement agent examinations of a person's home, vehicle, or business to find evidence that a crime has been committed. If evidence is found, the agent may seize it. Search and seizure also includes placing an individual under arrest. So whenever you are arresting somebody and you Mirandize them, you will go ahead and search their person, right? So anything you find that you believe they should not have on them at the time, or may be linked to their to a criminal activity, you are able to seize that and take that off of that person. Same thing if you are searching a vehicle after, let's say, you're in a chase and they get out, you manage to catch them, and you go ahead and search the vehicle. Anything illegal in the vehicle that you find, anything that should not be there, you are allowed to seize that. And that will go into evidence. Certain cases are like if you are arresting somebody and they have a firearm on them, but they do not have a proper license for it, you're able to seize them. Even if, I will say, if you are arresting somebody and you're going to bring them back, you are to temporarily seize any sort of weapons or lockpicks that they have on them, because you don't want them lockpicking out of their cuffs, or you don't want them pulling a weapon when they're down in the holding cells, which is an incident that we've had occur several times. Make sure that if you are arresting somebody, and especially if you're going to be processing them and sending them to jail, any sort of risky items, especially weapons and like lockpicks, as well as like med kits, are taken off of them. If they so wish for certain items, like if they have a weapons license and you take a firearm off them and you send them to prison, they are more than welcome to come back here and ask for it back, as so long as that weapon was not used in a crime. It's very, once again, it's on the nose thing, but we've had issues before where people have not been properly searched, and we've had incidents where people have transported and smuggled weapons into the prison with them because of those accidents. So we need to make sure that if you're arresting somebody, they are properly searched at the time, and that is being taken care of. Because, like I said, you don't want somebody pulling out a pistol in pillbox or in the holding cells and hurting somebody. Because at that point, that would be on the officer that searched them. The next thing we'll talk about is use of force training and proper escalation. So with escalation, right, that means that there's an increase in the intensity or seriousness of a situation. Escalation should be a last resort if all else fails. It should be a last resort if all else fails. Officers will and are trained to use the minimal level of violence during a situation. You'll go over more of this in the academy tomorrow, I believe, about proper escalation, and you'll go over this even more during your phases of training. But essentially, the basis is that whatever force is currently being used at the scene, officers are meant to match that force, right? So if you show up to a scene and there's people fighting, and one of them pulls a bat, you have your nightstick, or you are able to escalate it a bit there and pull out your taser, right, and tell them that they need to cease. If somebody pulls a gun, you are to pull your gun, right? You are matching that force because they are escalating it to that zone. In any situation, an officer should not be escalating the force. We've had incidents in the past of officers escalating and it causing very serious repercussions on other officers. We've had officers that, as you'll get more to tomorrow, I'm sure, trying to hit a vehicle at 100 miles an hour with a major punch in the air. You'll get somebody trying to hit somebody at 100 miles an hour, and as a result, the people that got pitted eventually decide to open fire on officers that weren't even involved. We need to be very understanding of, once again, our role here in the city, and to make sure that we are not abusing that power or trying to be overly aggressive with it. The PD does have a lot of power. We have access to a lot of equipment. The vehicles we have are very good comparatively to most vehicles in the city. So we need to be aware of that power that we hold and be very responsible with it.
Yeah, we have the ability to end every situation before it begins. We don't want to do that because of the way the city is set up. We want to encourage good behavior in fun situations, not be a force that just stomps out any and all, how do I say it? Fun interaction.
We don't want to stomp out anything that's going on entirely, because if we start doing that, I'll be honest, that we're not going to do. What will happen is, as we're doing that, the people that we're trying to stomp out will get heavier firepower, they'll get more extreme, and they will lash out. And it will end not only poorly for us, but for everybody else in the city as well. So we, once again, need to just be responsible and knowledgeable about the power that we're holding there. Less than lethal options, or non-lethal equivalents. We have a couple options on us, right? We have once you get your full equipment, we have nightsticks and batons that we carry on us for more of like a melee confrontation if need be. We also have our stun guns. These are to kind of be looked at first in most situations. You do not want to immediately escalate to your firearm because you are instantly, obviously, like we said, that's an escalation. That is a deadly weapon that you are pulling out. You want to try to use, if a suspect is fleeing, you want to try to chase them, see if you can tackle them, get them to stop, and if you can't, warn them that you're going to tase them. If they still do not stop, you go ahead and tase. That is why we have those options. That's why they are meant to be used. They are the first and foremost line of assurance that we have, and our firearms are meant to be a backup if needed. Which goes into lethal options. They're firearms, especially if you get higher in rank and you get access to a shotgun or an assault rifle. These are very deadly machines that we have, and you need to be very aware of that. At any moment, especially out on patrol, right, you are carrying a firearm with you. That is an immediately sign of force at all times that you have that with you. And at any time, you need to be aware that you have the possibility of dealing that much harm to somebody else. It's another thing that comes in with responsibility and acknowledgement of our role here in the city. Do we want to take a break for the blackout, or do we want to keep going?
I mean, the de-escalation is real simple. De-escalation is our number one weapon to combat any and all crime. You be empathetic, be kind. Verbal judo is what we call it. It's verbal self-defense. It's meant to de-escalate a situation and kind of bring somebody down from a level of violence that they're at. When we are confronted by emotionally disturbed people or violent people, it's very important that instead of just immediately like going to harm them, we try to get on their level in a way of understanding. Now, don't put your life in danger. Don't unnecessarily step into the path of somebody who's actively trying to hurt you, but try not to immediately want to kill them. is basically all it is. Be empathetic. To say somebody is trying to shoot a woman because she broke his heart. Yeah, he's fucked up and he's wrong, but until she is safe, empathize with him. Oh yeah, that really is fucked up that she did that to you. Yeah, I can understand why you're upset. Let's talk about it. Let me hear you out. Tell me the story. Tell me your side. Until she is safe, you do not want to... Sorry for the random piano. You do not want to escalate the situation and put her in any more harm way. You want to be very tactical about how you go about that. So we will do this tomorrow more so at the pit procedures. I will say this and I will reiterate it probably almost every day that you're on duty. We do not do a pit maneuver over 45 miles per hour. You probably don't know what that even means, but I want you to understand that now. A pit maneuver is when you use the front end of your vehicle to tilt the back end of another person's vehicle to stop a pursuit. You will never get permission to do this over 45 miles per hour. This can kill people, it has killed people, and it can put citizens in danger just being passerbys. I will teach you tomorrow how to appropriately write reports. When you get hired on, you will be able to flex a muscle that pulls up an MDT. It looks like this. It's a tablet. It has all of our search engines. We can search people, vehicles, other reports, create reports, look at past calls, and warrants for people. We'll teach you more in depth on how to go through that tomorrow. Disciplinary actions. I am going to tell you right now, I'm an insanely fun person until I'm not. I don't like being the hard ass, but sometimes the PD needs a hard ass, and that's where I come in. Chief Cecil's very sweet, but he can also be a very big hard ass. Don't make us discipline you. And by that, don't make unnecessary decisions, don't escalate things, don't be a jackass, don't be a horrible person. Try to be a good cop. 9 times out of 10, we will listen to your side of the story and hear you out. If you are, for whatever reason, brought into our office for discipline, that is command discipline. That will go on your record. That will be probably kept there forever. You want to keep those to a minimum, if never happen at all. In the event that we do get command discipline, yeah, no, that storm, Jesus. You could be liable for suspension, which means you go off duty without pay for an extended period of time, or termination. You can't get fired. We have fired people. We will probably continue to fire people because we do not want a subpar police department. If at any time you disagree with a disciplinary action that was taken upon you, you do have an appeal process where you can discuss this with every HR person. Her name's Lily Adams. She is wonderful. She can listen to your side of the story, and we will go over the discipline that was handed to you and see if we were out of line. We do not want to ever be above discipline ourselves. And remarkably, I think that ended the first day of academy, right before the tsunami.
Yep, there we go.
Let's get you guys downstairs so you're not trapped in here. And if you guys have questions, obviously we can answer them after tsunami, but I don't want you guys to get thrown into the void during this tornado.
Run.
Alright. This way, down the stairs. Down the stairs. Good job. Good hustle. Hell yeah.
I'm stuck. Ah! My eyes don't like me. Knowing me, I will probably still.
Just wait up in here, and then if you guys have any questions after the blackout, feel free to ask them.
God.
Yes. Oh my god. Gonzalez standing outside like one of those fucking Middle Eastern dads in like freaking Idaho, standing outside like, yep, that's a tornado right there. I see it right there. That's a tornado.
What's wrong with Idaho?
Nothing, but you know they're standing outside on their back porch mowing their lawn in the middle of a fucking tornado.
You're not wrong.
Standing there like this.
I've seen quite a few people doing that.
Yep. That's an F2 over there.
I've heard it's quite fun.
That there's a storm. Ooh.
Never do that.
If you guys think about Cop 2, you will look like a cop.
You want to learn how y'all want to learn how to do a somersault?
I'm gonna get out of the way.
That is lean flirt. Love your hustle.
That looked painful.
Yeah, that didn't look like a somersault.
It's a chair. Chair's blocking the way.
Uh-huh.
Alright, chair's blocking the way.
Oh, closer.
Right there. Careful, these thunderstorms are way too loud. The lightning scared the shit out of
Oh, we have a house robbery. That's fun. Okay. Right before the blackout.
Major, we wake back up. George Garrison's ready for his panel.
Okay, cool. Some thunderstorm. I hope it stays thunderstorming after the blackout.
Do you want help with the panel afterwards, by the way?
I would love help.
Alright. Alright, hopefully none of the water from this rainstorm flushes in here and pulls any of you guys away. That'd be real bad.
Yeah.
Wow, it's astonishing that keeps happening. Okay. See you.
Interesting. I just saw a ghost dinner in. I just saw a ghost dinner in PD.
55741.
Oh, there's an.
Whoa.
I cannot see anybody. Oh dear Lord. I cannot fucking see anybody.
Hey there. Welcome back. We can go inside so we're not standing out in the rain. I think we're still waiting on one more. We'll see if he wakes up. So do either of you have any questions from the academy of the stuff we went over, or?
Not that I can think of.
I do not.
All right. There's our third. Well, yeah. If you guys don't have any questions at the time, you guys should be good to go. If you guys would like, you can do ride-alongs, like the major said. Other than that, you should be good to go until your second part of academy tomorrow. Oh, hey there, sir.
Hey.
Do you have any questions from what we covered in the academy?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Well, like I was just telling them, if any of you want to, you can request a ride-along. Go around with an officer for today, for a little bit. But outside of that, I think you all should be good to go about your business until your second part of Academy tomorrow. So.
Alright.
Sounds good.
All right, I'll leave you guys to it.
I fucking see ghosts. Oh god. All I see are ghosts. Task manager. No, task manager 5M. All I see was ghosts. I don't want to see ghosts. I want to see the people.
Hello.
Hi.
Hold on. Just gotta get to the hold on. That. Well, I'm having some trouble with my eyeballs. I don't know if you can hear me, but I didn't hear the phone ring, so, or I would have answered. But I have some food and water for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Gosh, the rain is loud. I will be right back. Nope.
was really lucky to have us then. Dear Evan Hansen, today is going to be an amazing day. And here's why. Because today, all you have to do is just be yourself. But also confident. That's important. And interesting. Easy to talk to, approachable. But mostly just be yourself. You know, that's number one, obviously. Be yourself. But like a confident version of yourself. Like approachable and interesting and not weird or anxious or depressed. But you're not weird or anxious or depressed. I don't even know why you're bringing it up. You can't be scared to talk to other people. You said that you'd be better. You said this year would be different. You're overthinking it. Do you like having no friends? All you have to do is just be yourself. I've learned to slam on the brake before.
I'm doing alright.
Alright, I heard you were fed and hydrated.
Yeah.
Alright. Yeah, he had some eye problems and he wasn't able to hear you as well. So I heard you did call 111, but it was probably not near the reception. The majority of the staff is at a meeting right now from the city council. So how are you right now in terms of food and water?
I just ate what he gave me, but I do have a protein shake and
I see. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna force him to sit behind the reception area, and I'll be picking up the medical staff that I dropped off at the meeting, and I'll be back shortly.
oh, okay.
So how is your heart holding up? You feeling alright?
I still feel weak.
Get any pains or discomforts?
The pain's still about a 7-8.
Alright. I think we can kick it up now that your heart is completely taken in by your body.
They were just also warm. I was kidding. You obviously should not talk to her. You were a literal disaster.
Deforestation.
So, what happened to your arm exactly? I was climbing a tree and I fell. It was stupid. You fell out of a tree? What are you, 5? Well, so actually, I worked this summer as an apprentice park ranger at Ellison State Park. It's a funny story, though, because there was like this solid 10 minutes after I fell where I just lay there on the ground, waiting for someone to come get me, you know? I was like, any second now, you know? I just kept, I was saying to myself, any second now, here they come. So. Did they? No, nobody came. That's what's funny. That's not funny.
Model UN!
Well, anyways, how was camp? Well, I put on 13 pounds of pure muscle. Also, I hooked up with this Brazilian dude who is literally a supermodel. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question.
So let's have Mother Nature's back so that she'll have ours.
All right, thank you. Very inspirational. All right, so let's have a great year and go Bobcats!
Hey, would you want to sign my cast? You could be the first.
Why would I do that?
Well, I thought, because we're friends and...
We're family, friends, Evan. That's an entirely different thing. Please respect that.
Connor, I'm loving this manicure. Very school shooter chic. Such an idiot. Think that's funny?
Well, no.
Stop laughing!
Hey. I'm sorry about my brother. He's a psycho. Evan, right? That's your name?
Yeah, it is. Sorry, it's Evan. I'm sorry.
Why are you sorry?
Because you said Evan and then I said it. You know, I just repeated it, which is, that's just really annoying when people do that, so.
I'm Zoe.
I think, sorry. Dear Evan Hansen, turns out this wasn't an amazing day after all. This isn't going to be an amazing week or an amazing year because why would it be? Oh, I know. Because there's Zoe, who I don't even know and who doesn't know me, but maybe if I did, maybe if I could just talk to her, maybe things would be better. Or maybe nothing would be different at all. I wish everything was different. I wish I was different. I wish I was part of something. I wish that anything I said mattered to anyone. But it doesn't. And it never did. And it never will. I mean, face it, would anyone even notice if I just disappeared tomorrow? Sincerely, your best and most dearest friend, Mia.
Hey, what happened to your arm?
I was climbing a tree and I fell.
You fell out of a tree? That's the saddest thing I've ever heard.
I know. Sorry, I think I accidentally printed something.
Yeah, we're all waiting.
No one signed your cast.
No, I know.
I'll sign it.
Oh, you really don't have to.
Do you have a Sharpie?
I don't. Shoot.
Oh, here's one.
Nice. Wow. That's great.
Now we can both pretend we have friends. Dear Evan Hansen, here you go.
Yeah, that's mine. That's mine. I can take it. Sorry.
Because there's Zoe. Is this about my sister?
What? No. Who's your sister?
You wanted me to find this?
What?
You saw I was here, so you started writing this, and you started talking to me.
No, you started.
So that I would read some creepy shit about my sister and freak out, right?
Why would I do that?
So then you can tell everyone that I'm crazy, right? Right?
Gentlemen.
Look, I really need that back. So can you please just give it back? Just please don't show it to anyone. Connor.
Hi, honey, I'm so sorry. Erica called in at the last minute with a stomach bug, and there's only one other nurse on tonight, so I volunteered to take her shift. I hope you weren't waiting for me to eat.
No, I already ate.
They announced more budget cuts this morning, so anything I can do to show that I'm a team player, How was your day?
Fine. It was pretty good.
Yeah? I texted with Mira this morning, and she said that Jared was really looking forward to seeing you and reconnecting. I thought that was nice.
Yeah, he's so nice.
How was Dr. Sherman?
Pretty good.
Any change to your meds?
No.
Oh, God, here he comes. All right, all right, love you. Bye.
Okay, love you.
A letter to yourself? I mean, what is that, like some kind of sex thing?
No, it's not a sex thing. It was an assignment from my therapist.
Yeah. Why are you telling me this?
Well, I didn't know who else to tell. You're my only family friend.
Oh, that's sad.
Look, Connor isn't here again today. That's 3 days in a row. I think he hasn't done anything with it yet, like put it online or whatever, because I've been checking. So maybe he forgot, right?
Right. Or maybe he didn't, because he's definitely gonna put it online. Dude, Connor Murphy is batshit. Don't you remember when he threw a printer at Mrs. G in the 2nd grade because he couldn't be line leader? He was 7. Just imagine what he's capable of now.
Evan Hansen, please report to Mr. Howard's office.
Oh, Yeah.
Evan. Connor Murphy's mother and stepfather are here to see you. They want to speak in private.
Hi.
Hello.
Why don't you go ahead, honey?
I'm going as fast as I can.
Well, that's not what I said, is it?
This is... Connor wanted you to have this.
No, we didn't know you were friends. No, well, we didn't think Connor had any friends, frankly. And then we see this note, and it seems to suggest pretty clearly that you and Connor were, or at least for Connor.
Dear Evan Hansen, he addressed it to you. He wrote it to you. These are the words that he wanted to share with you.
His last words. Connor took his own life.
He what?
This is all we found with him. He had it folded up in his pocket.
This is... I'm sorry, Connor didn't... He didn't write this. Connor didn't write this.
What does that mean?
Well, he's obviously in shock.
I mean, if Connor didn't write this...
So sorry. Can I should probably go, please.
Oh, you don't understand. This is all that we have. This is the only thing that we have left.
Listen to me.
No, don't go.
Okay, then you take it. Please take it, okay?
No, don't go. Don't. Please stay. Please. His best and most dearest friend.
Holy shit. They invited me for dinner. They want to know more stuff about Connor and me, about our friendship.
And you said yes?
I froze.
Well, what are you gonna tell them?
I mean the truth.
I don't know, man. I mean, you really gonna tell these people that the only thing they have left of their son is a sex letter that you wrote to yourself?
Hey. I'm so sorry.
What the hell was that?
I don't know. Oh my god, they were so sad. His parents, I mean, his mom was just... I've never seen anyone so sad before. I have to tell them.
You're early.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, well, I'm actually gonna get out of here and watch a movie and lay down.
I hope you're hungry.